Is this Nora's number? Yes. Who is this? Oh, nice to meet you. I'm Rose Johnson, your boyfriend's mother. Did my sudden message surprise you? Wait, you're Jake's mother? How did you get my number? I heard about you from my son and I got a little curious. So I decided to reach out and confirm. I see. But we're not seriously talking about marriage yet. Even so, as a mother, I'm concerned. I just want to make sure that you're someone who will make my son happy. I understand. But this is quite sudden and I'm a bit confused. I understand that. But since we might become family, we should get along well. I'd like us to get to know each other sooner rather than later. Yes, I understand that, but... Oh, don't worry. I just want to get to know you. I'm curious about who you are, what kind of life you live, and whether you're suitable for my son. Excuse me? Could I have a little time? I need to prepare myself. Oh, you don't need to be so formal. How about a simple introduction? Tell me about your family and your job. Well, I'm just an ordinary office worker. Nothing special. I see. What about your parents? I'm sure they must be remarkable people. My parents are just ordinary people. There's nothing particularly unusual about them. What do you mean by ordinary? Could you please explain it properly? The kind of family you grew up in can affect married life. So I'd like to know more about your family background. Well, it's a bit private, so it might be difficult to discuss right now. What are you saying? We're going to be family, so it's better not to have secrets, don't you think? That's true, but I just think I need a little more time. Are you already planning to defy me? This doesn't bode well. That's not my intention at all. I just need a bit more time if that's okay. Enough! Contact me as soon as you're ready to talk. Okay. Since my precious son is getting married, I need to do some research beforehand as his mother. We can't have his life ruined, can we? So if there's any threat, I need to eliminate it quickly. What? A threat? Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you're a threat. I just mean that if you were, I'd need to deal with it early on. I see. Well, I'll be in touch again. Finally, I get to meet my son's fiancé. Usually, people are considerate and come to meet me sooner. But Nora, you have some nerve, don't you? You're coming to our house next week, right? I'm looking forward to meeting you. Good evening, Miss Johnson. I'm sorry a lot of things came up, and it took me a while to get back to you. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Oh, you can start calling me Rose if you'd like. Thank you, Rose. Yes, I'm looking forward to meeting you too. Finally, we'll get to meet. I've been looking forward to this day for so long. We've talked many times over video calls, but it's still different meeting in person. There are things you just can't convey through a screen. And true connections are made face to face. That's why I've been so eager to meet you. To be honest, I still don't fully understand what kind of person you are. It feels a bit strange that you've been dating my son for 5 years. And yet, we're meeting for the first time. Yes, I understand. I'm really looking forward to meeting you. I'm so glad to have the chance to talk in person. I have poor eyesight, so I can't really see subtle expressions on a smartphone screen. Especially the small changes in expression. Those are completely lost on me. So I still don't have a clear sense of who you are. That's why I've had my worries and thoughts before meeting. But now that the day is finally here, I can feel those worries settling down. I've also been really looking forward to meeting you in person, Rose. I've wanted to meet you for so long. I feel bad that I couldn't visit you sooner. It's okay. It can't be helped with a distance. I know you and my son are busy with work, and your free time is limited. I also hurt my back, so long trips have been tough for me. And I didn't want to burden you, so I didn't push for a meeting. But now that I'm feeling better, I'm so happy we can finally meet. How are you feeling? Back pain makes everything difficult. Even shopping must be tough. Thank you. I'm gradually getting better. Now I can almost do my shopping without any trouble, and I'm slowly getting back to my usual routine. So please, don't hesitate to come over to our house. That's really good to hear. Then I'll visit next week. I'm looking forward to meeting you and having a chat in person. I'll be waiting. There's so much you learn when you talk face to face. But still, I never expected my son to decide on marriage. It was so sudden. It really caught me off guard. Was it surprising? Yes. My son always said he planned to stay single. So I never thought he'd consider marriage. He used to say repeatedly that marriage wasn't for him. And he thought it would be difficult to live with someone else. Oh, I see. So that's what he always said. Yes. He said just because you get married doesn't mean you'll be happy. He thought marriage has its good sides, but there are also people who end up unhappy. So he thought it was better not to get married. He believed that even if you're happy at first, it doesn't last forever. That's what he used to say. So I couldn't believe it when he started thinking about marriage. I see. Maybe the fact that I got divorced also influenced him. My marriage was far from happy, so my son might have developed a negative view of marriage after seeing that. I understand. Your experiences must have shaped your son's views. My marriage was really full of hardships, but after the divorce, living with just my son, I slowly began to feel some happiness. Before that, every day felt like hell, but now I feel a bit more at peace. You raised your son on your own, Rose. That must have been incredibly difficult. It was tough, but I could do anything for my son. He was more important to me than my own life. So no matter how hard it was, I got through it. My son also helped with the housework and encouraged me. He was truly someone I could rely on. Because of that experience, the bond between us is deeper than anything else, stronger than anyone could imagine. I see. Your bond with him is really strong. Yes. That's why I thought there was no room for any other woman to come between us. Nora, maybe you're the one who changed that. I'm a bit surprised. What? You're the one who changed my son's mind. That's quite something. Oh, yes. Thank you. I'm sure your parents raised you with great care, Nora. Your speech is polite, you seem calm, and you've clearly been well-mannered. I can tell you've had a good upbringing. You must have grown up in a wealthy family, right? No, that's not the case at all. My family is just an ordinary one. You don't have to be so modest. When someone compliments you, just accept it gracefully. Otherwise, it might come off as insincere. I'm sorry, but really, my family is just an ordinary one. Oh, but you're not saying you're from a poor family, are you? I'd be worried if my son married someone from a poor background. I don't think we're poor, but of course, standards differ from person to person. I have the right to know what level your family is at. Tell me your father's annual income. Annual income? I'm sorry, I'm not really sure how much it is. You don't know your father's income? No, not in detail. But you have a general idea, don't you? Then what does your father do? He's a composer. So, he's self-employed? In any case, make sure you find out the annual income before you come over next week. If it's below a certain level, I might have to reconsider things. Reconsider? Do you mean you want us to break up? That depends on the income. Just make sure you check it. Yes, I understand. Rose, I'm so glad we finally got to meet in person today. It was wonderful to actually meet you. I'm so happy I could finally greet you face to face. I look forward to getting to know you better from here on out. There's definitely a lot you can understand when you meet someone in person. Things that just don't come across on a screen. Well, I'm sorry, but there's something I wanted to ask. You're satisfied with my parents' income, right? I've been feeling a bit anxious. I'm really concerned about whether you'll give your blessing to our marriage. Yes. Your father seems to be a well-known composer, and I've realized his income is more than sufficient. I was surprised to find out that he's so successful in that field. But there's something that's been on my mind. What is it? Is there something that's worrying you? Actually, it's something I didn't notice on the small smartphone screen during our video calls. But now that we've met in person, don't you think you're a bit unattractive? Excuse me? Now that I've seen you in person, your eyes seem a bit slanted, and your face looks a little long. I didn't notice it over the phone, but I couldn't help but think you look a bit like a goat. I didn't expect you to say something like that. Your education and work history are impeccable, and your father's income is high, but it's just your face that's a bit disappointing. I couldn't help but wonder how such an imbalance could exist. Honestly, I'm beginning to think my son might be out of his mind for choosing someone like you as a marriage partner. Maybe his eyesight has deteriorated, or perhaps life has worn him down. But he tells me I'm attractive. But now I'm wondering if he really means it. Oh, so maybe my son just has a thing for unattractive women? I never would have guessed, but it seems he might have a peculiar taste. Do you really think I'm that unattractive? I always thought I carried myself with confidence around him. Oh dear. Have you gone through life without realizing you're unattractive? That's quite a blissfully ignorant mindset. Unbelievable. Blissfully ignorant. Isn't that a bit too harsh? I didn't think of myself that way. Oh, I was just being honest. But maybe I shouldn't have said it. I didn't mean any harm. I was just telling the truth. By the way, have you really never been called unattractive by your friends or classmates? Usually, someone would point that out. No. No one's ever said that to me. You've lived surrounded by very kind people, haven't you? Or maybe the people around you were just on a lower level altogether. That does happen sometimes. Perhaps your family and friends all have, shall we say, less than stellar looks. So even if you're unattractive, it didn't stand out much. Environment is crucial, you know. Please don't insult my family and friends. I'm not insulting them. I'm just telling you the truth. It's important to point out what's wrong. After all, you're dating my son. But honestly, this is horrible. I can't approve of this marriage. What? I can't let someone so unattractive become my son's wife. I'm against it. I'll let my son know. He should marry a woman with better looks. But we love each other. My son is just out of his mind, desperate to get married. There's no way he'd marry someone as unattractive as you otherwise. Hey, Nora, you really are a shameless woman. That's exactly why I can't approve of your marriage to my son. I won't approve ever. Haven't you broken up with my son yet? Hurry up and end it already. I absolutely won't allow my son to marry someone as unattractive as you. Do you really dislike me that much? Am I that unacceptable to you? I thought that if you considered his happiness, you might understand. You told him to break up with me, didn't you? But he didn't. Isn't that an answer? He chose to stay with me. He's seriously thinking about our future together. No matter what you say, I don't think his resolve will waver. Isn't that what love is? That's why I'm saying my son is just out of his mind. I really can't understand what he's thinking. Marriage isn't something you decide on a whim, but he just wants to get married. He doesn't care who the person is. It's clear he's not thinking clearly. That's why we're in this mess. He's ready to settle down, even if it means marrying someone who isn't the most attractive, like you. Unbelievable. I'll find him a more suitable woman. There must be someone better for my son. He should be with a proper woman. Isn't it just that you think I'm unattractive? Isn't it a bit harsh to judge my entire worth based on that? I wish you could see that looks aren't everything. How positive can you be? I'm honestly shocked that you have such confidence in yourself. But maybe you should face reality. Anyone can see you're unattractive. It's obvious to everyone. I can't allow my son to choose this marriage out of momentary lapse in judgment. I think this is the right decision if I prioritize his happiness. When I think about my son's future, I have no choice but to oppose this. I'll have to break off the engagement so my grandchildren don't end up unattractive too. Gladly, you old hag. What? I don't want a mother-in-law like you either. I don't want anything to do with you. Who are you calling an old hag? I'm just stating the facts. When something's trash, you've got to call it out, right? What a foul-mouthed woman! So, you're finally showing your true colors. I knew it. You're nothing but a worthless woman. And who's the real worthless one here? I'm just protecting my son. If he marries you and ends up with ugly children, he'll definitely regret it. I don't want him to regret it. My son is more important to me than life itself. Oh, I see. Protecting him, huh? Nora, I'll be blunt. Give me back my son. I can't let you marry him, you homewrecker. Is something wrong? You're trying to steal my son from me, aren't you? Do you know what he told me? He said, if I'm so against this marriage, he'll just stop having anything to do with me. It means he loves me more than his own mother. It feels so good to be loved like that. Don't be ridiculous. There's no way that's true. But it seems like he's already abandoned you, right? He hasn't abandoned me yet. He's just being fooled by you. Aren't you the one doing the fooling? You're trying to impose your values and putting me down in the process, aren't you? I haven't done anything, so stop with your paranoid delusions. It's because of your selfish behavior that your son now resents you. Anyone would be furious if their loved one was insulted. I was just telling the truth. I only called you ugly because you are. See? There you go again. That's out of line. Just so you know, your son is sitting right next to me right now. He's very angry after reading this. What? I'm only saying this for his sake. He says if you really cared about him, you'd let him go. For him, freedom means being able to walk the path he chooses. He believes that's where his true happiness lies. Freedom? What does that even mean? Are you saying I've been holding him back all this time? I thought I was protecting him as a parent, and this is the result? Your son has always felt like you were controlling him. He was exhausted from living a life where even the smallest decisions were made by you. He was supposed to be living his own life, but he was always forced to walk the path you chose for him. He was truly fed up with that life. That's why when it came to choosing a marriage partner, he wanted to make that decision on his own. It was the only chance he had to take control of his life. But as usual, you denied the partner he chose and looked down on me. That was the last straw for him. He's made the decision to break free from your overbearing control. I only wanted to guide him down the right path as his parent. I thought that was my role. How did it come to this? In the end, you just wanted everything to go your way, didn't you? You may have thought you were protecting your son, but all you did was treat him like a puppet, controlling him as you pleased. Have you ever considered, even for a moment, how painful it was for him to live under your control all these years? No! That can't be true. It's a lie. There's no way my son would abandon me. We've been supporting each other ever since the divorce. I can't believe this. He's supposed to need me. Actually, regarding that, your son has confided that he really wanted to live with his father. Your relationship wasn't as close as you thought. What? What do you mean by that? The reason for the divorce was your hysterical behavior, wasn't it? Just like you've insulted me, you did the same to your husband every day, didn't you? Calling him useless, slow, and worthless. He couldn't take the constant abuse anymore, so he left, didn't he? That's not true. It wasn't my fault. He was the one who didn't earn enough. And he was indecisive, weak, and completely unreliable. So of course, he deserved the criticism. But he prioritized his family and was gentle, warm-hearted, and peaceful, wasn't he? Your husband was always kind to your son. He always respected your son's feelings no matter the situation. You've said you and your son were happy living together, but in reality, it was the opposite for him. He felt like living with you was the start of a living hell. Hey, what do you think you're doing as a bride-to-be? I'll never forgive you. You might think you've tricked everyone, but I'm not falling for it. Today's your wedding date, right? It's absurd that the groom's mother wasn't invited. This is absolutely wrong. Oh, Rose. Thank you for reaching out despite your busy schedule. The ceremony starts at 10 a.m. Everything is ready and now we're just relaxing, waiting for the moment. I'm truly so happy right now. It feels like a dream to be celebrating such a wonderful day. Hey, I'm sorry. I really said some terrible things. I'm sorry for calling you ugly. I didn't mean to say that. I just got carried away with my emotions. I was wrong. I deeply regret hurting someone my son cares about so much. It's okay, really. I'm not that affected by what you said, Rose. You were just expressing what you felt, right? You were being honest, so there's no need to apologize. No, it's not like that. Really, it's not. I wasn't trying to say those things. I was just worried about my son's future. What's different? I don't understand what you were trying to say. I just wanted to criticize the person my son chose, that's all. Nora, you seem too perfect, so I felt the need to say something. And since I couldn't find any other flaws, I ended up commenting on your appearance. So, because you didn't think my appearance was perfect, you criticized it, right? Doesn't that mean you did think I was ugly? Please, don't twist my words. That's not what I meant. I didn't think you were drop-dead gorgeous, but it was wrong to say it out loud. But calling you ugly wasn't truly how I felt in my heart. No, it's fine. Call me ugly if you want. I don't care what you think of me, Rose. In the end, other people's opinions have no bearing on my happiness. Besides, we won't have any reason to interact from now on anyway. We're going to walk separate paths from here on out. What do you mean, separate paths? That sounds like you're talking about cutting ties. Oh, Rose, there's one more thing I forgot to mention. Actually, we've invited your ex-husband to the wedding as well. What? You invited my ex-husband? Why would you do that? Yes, I just met him for the first time earlier today. And he's a very kind and gentle man. Truly a wonderful person. I was so happy to have the chance to talk with him. He's remarried now. But he expressed his desire to continue being a part of your son's life. He also genuinely wishes for your son's happiness. Why is that man showing up now? I've worked so hard to raise our son. He has nothing to do with this. That's true, Rose. You did raise him. But I've learned that your ex-husband paid child support until your son became an adult. He took responsibility for your son's upbringing. And yet, you kept that from your son, didn't you? Don't you think that was a bit unfair? I wasn't trying to hide it. I just didn't think it was necessary to bring it up. But you did tell your son that his father abandoned him and left, didn't you? I think that was a bit of a cowardly act. I don't think so. Even though his father paid child support every month, you made your son believe that his father had abandoned him. You twisted the truth to suit your narrative. I just didn't want to confuse him. I thought I was doing what was best for him. Anyway, this has made it clear what kind of person you are. We don't want to have anything to do with someone like you in our lives. Wait, please, reconsider. I'll apologize for everything I've done. Please, forgive me. I'm sorry, but from now on, I'll be the one protecting my husband. He wants to cut ties with you, and I believe that's the best choice for us. What? Are you really going to cut ties with me? As long as he remains trapped in the sadness of the past, he can't move forward. Your presence is holding him back from progressing. But surely, he still needs me. No, he's already started walking his own path in life. Supporting him is my way of guiding him toward a new happiness. If you were truly necessary in his life, he would have chosen you himself. That may be true, but I'm prepared to do anything to protect my husband's happiness. He is the most important person in my life. So, what should I do? You have your own life, Rose. Instead of clinging to your son's life, you should find your own happiness. By doing so, we can both walk our new paths. Well, excuse me now. I've heard that since then, Rose lost all her connections with her family and friends, and now leads a life of isolation. Perhaps she finally realized just how badly she treated those around her. Now she lives quietly, without anyone to turn to for help or support. We, on the other hand, have regained our peaceful life. My husband has finally been freed from the chains of his past and has begun to live his own life. We still maintain a good relationship with his father, who continues to support us wholeheartedly. I hope that they can rebuild their father-son bond as they move forward.